Hi friends, how are you? Welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph across most of social media, all the yarny spaces anyway. And this is the Fiber Nymph Dyeworks channel. I am the dyer behind Fiber Nymph Dyeworks yarn. So welcome. I'm really glad you're here. If you are a first-time viewer, then thank you so much for checking the podcast out. If you are a return viewer, thank you for coming back, as always. It has been a few weeks since I've recorded, and it was going to be a couple more weeks if I didn't sit down today to record. So we're going to just kind of get with it here. I will say you can usually find show notes in the drop-down menu below here in the description box on YouTube. I try to post them on Ravelry in the Fiber Nymph Dyeworks group. There will be a thread for this episode, and then I also create a blog post on the Fiber Nymph Dyeworks website in the blog. So those are the places that you can usually find show notes, and I'm saying usually because I'm honestly not sure that I'm going to be able to have time to put together full show notes for this episode, at least not today. But we'll see. I'll do my best. As I just alluded to, it's really kind of a busy week. It's a short week for me. My husband and I have a off-road motorcycle event that we're going to this weekend. We leave Thursday morning, and we don't get back till Sunday, and then my grandson's going to be visiting all next week. So I have a lot to get done in these 3 days before we leave. And that's why I wanted to try to record today, because if it wasn't today, it probably wasn't going to get done. So, time is of the essence. Let's see. I don't think there's any other admin. Basically, I've got a couple project things I'm going to show you. I've got a little bit of shop stuff I'll tell you about. And, I've got acquisitions this time too, which is odd. I don't usually have much in the line of acquisitions, but apparently, if I'm making myself focus on just a very limited number of projects, that extra project mojo energy has to get channeled somewhere, and this time it got channeled into doing some shopping. So I'm going to show you some things that I've acquired. And then what else? I guess I'll just tell you a little bit of life stuff, what's going on. But anyway, let's just get into it. If you watched, I think, the last episode, and maybe even the episode before that, you know what my main project for July was going to be, and that is my blanket that I'm making for my grandson. He graduated high school this past spring. He's leaving for college next month, and I had promised him that I would make him a blanket in his college colors. And so I showed you last time that I was making mitered squares, and I got them made, and here I'm just going to show you one of the strips, because I did start seaming the strips this weekend, and all of the strips, so like this is ending up being 8 blocks wide, 11 blocks high. That's where we landed. It's had many configurations up to this point, but this is what the strips look like. I'm not 100% happy with my seaming, because some of the blocks look like this one looks great. This one I think looks a little wonky, but the thing is, the way I'm configuring this, I'm never putting two edges that are the same together, and that makes it really difficult, because there's always going to be one edge that was a cast on edge, and then another edge that is one of the outer edges of the blanket square. So putting those two together, it just makes it a little odd. I have been doing the seaming on a tabletop, so they're flat as I'm seaming them, because I'm doing mattress stitch, and like if you're mattress stitching a garment, like you might hold it this way and be able to do it like upright. It's been a long time since I have mattress stitched a garment. I don't do a whole lot of pieced garments anymore. But when I did, I mean, you work from like this side and then this side and this side and back and forth. And then that ends up with kind of a ridge on the inside where you've got that seam ridge. And I didn't want the seam ridge on these blanket squares. So that's why I'm laying them flat, and I'm actually working from the edges, like this inside edge. So like this edge here, and then that edge on the other square, which usually ends up being, well, it does end up being like one of the outside edges. Okay, so a cast on edge and an outside edge. And it's different, and I'm going like in between, so it's flat. There's no ridge. I don't know that I'm explaining that super well. Hopefully you understand what I mean. Anyway, I mean, I'm happy enough with it, and I think it's going to look fine once it's all together. So I do have all 8 strips pieces, 8 the columns. So I have 8 columns of 11 blocks. That's what one of these is. This is the first one, then I have 7 more. Now, when I first conceived of this blanket, I had planned to do it 9 blocks wide and 12 blocks high. When I got to like the halfway point, that's 108 blocks that I needed. When I got to the halfway point of making the blocks, I laid them out on my bed to see how it was looking. And it looked fine, but I realized it was going to be way too wide for what I really needed. It was basically as wide as my queen size bed. And it was almost as tall as my queen size bed if I laid 12 squares out that way too. And I thought, that's too big. He's going to college. He's going to be in a dorm. He's probably going to have a twin size bed, maybe a full size bed, but he doesn't need a queen sized Afghan or blanket. So at that point I reconfigured and I decided, okay, I'm going to cut this back and do 8 blocks across, 10 blocks high. That seemed more reasonable. And that also cut down the number of squares that I needed to make at that point. So going from 108 down to 80 squares. So I finished the 80 squares, I guess Friday night? Yeah, because Saturday morning I was ready to go and I knew I had all my squares. That's why I decided to work on another project, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But I laid them out again just to make sure I had everything in the right order, and then I stacked them and put these little numbers on them so I knew, you can't really even see, there's a number on there. There we go, number. It's a little sticky note, a star-shaped sticky note. I did that, and in doing that, I was looking at it and I thought, I don't know about this dimension. Like it didn't, there was something that looked off. So I had Emma come in, my daughter, and I said, okay, look at this. Do you think this blanket, these dimensions for this blanket look right? And she is closer in height to my grandson. He's taller than me for sure. He's probably about her height. And she said, well, it seems kind of short because going 8 by 10, it was definitely shorter than what the 8 by 12 would have been. I said, yeah, it does sort of look a little bit short. And it was wide. Like it was a weird combination of dimensions. So I said, well, what if I take this 8th column of blocks and reconfigure them across the top so it would be 7 by 11. And so we did that and laid it out, and she's like, well, that would be a good height because it would cover him that way. It would cover him from shoulders over his feet, and that's what seemed to be like important. She says, kind of narrow now. I'm like, yeah, but he's a tall, thin kid. Like he's always been very tall and lanky. Yeah. And we talked about it, and she's like, yeah, I think it's more important for it to be lengthwise long enough. You know, the width probably doesn't matter. If he's laying it on top of his bed, it'll be fine. If he's wrapping up in it to like read or play a game or whatever on his computer, it'll be fine. So we thought, yes, that'll be fine. So I did that, reconfigured that, which gave me 4 extra squares. So I commenced seaming, and that's what I did. Like the rest of the day, Saturday, I got the first 3 columns seamed, and then I did the other 4 yesterday outside at the table on the deck, which was lovely. And so once I had those 7 columns seamed, I took them in on the bed and I laid them out again because I wanted to make sure that I had the miters going in the right direction, because you know what, at this point I'm going to put a picture in here of what this is going to look like when it's done. That is how I have it laid out. And I wanted, like, the colors are all going on a diagonal, but the miters are going in different directions to form a different pattern. And so I wanted to make sure those were all okay. So I laid it out and looked at it, and I'm like, it is too narrow. I didn't like it that narrow. I don't know why seaming it made the difference there, but it did. So at that point I decided I need to make one more column of squares. So I had the 4 extra ones, so I calculated how many more I needed of the other colors to fit the pattern, and I knit 7 more squares. I did 3 last night, I did the last 4 this morning, and then I seamed that last column. So I have my 8 columns. I just need to seam those 8 columns together, and then I have to do a border. So my goal is to hopefully get these seamed. I'd like to say by the end of today, but I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to get them done by the end of today because it's already mid-afternoon. Yeah, it's almost 2 o'clock. That's probably wishful thinking. If I can get them at least halfway done, that would be great, and then I can finish them tomorrow morning, and then I can do whatever border I'm going to do. The border is the next question because I've never had a really strong idea of what I wanted to do for the border for this blanket. When I thought I was going to need to add some width, because that was the thing I kept telling myself in my head, well, even though the squares might be too narrow, I could always make a wider border and give it a little extra width. But no, I don't have to do that now because I made that extra column. It's wide enough. And the border at this point needs to be simple. I just need to be able to finish off those, I want to say rough edges, raw edges, you know, the edges, the outside edges of the blanket. So my hope is that I can do a single crochet edge around the whole thing and it will look okay, and I will not have to do anything else. That is my hope because I just want to finish it, give it a nice finished look. So hopefully that'll work. My other thought was to do an applied I-cord edging, which just saying that out loud, I feel like I'm crazy because I know applied I-cord takes longer. I could make it look really cool, but I just don't know that I have the time to do that. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to start with the crocheted edge, see how that goes, and hopefully it'll be great. I basically have to get this done by the end of the day Wednesday because Bill and I are leaving Thursday. I'm sorry, I've started this so many times, I don't remember if I already told you that or not. Bill and I are going away this weekend, Thursday through Sunday, for an off-road motorcycle thing that we've done. We did it last year too. It's not my favorite event in the world, but I go because it's something we can do together, and I can ride on my Ural, which is a sidecar rig, so I'm not going to like fall in the mud pits and rocky trails that we're going to be on. So anyway, but it's not something that I could take this project to work on. Let's put it that way. So it has to be done because when we get home Sunday, I'm not going to have that much time Sunday, and then Monday, my grandson's going to show up here. I don't know exactly what time he's getting here, but like I don't want to have to work on this on Sunday or on Monday or either day. Needs to be done before we leave. So anyway, that is where I'm at. It's so close. It's so close to being done. I'm really happy with it. Again, my seaming, I'm not 100% thrilled with, but it's not horrible. And I don't think it's anything that he's going to look at and say, "Ooh, Grandma, that's seaming." I think he's going to be fine with it. So, and I'm just hopeful that he's going to actually get use out of it because I have no idea. I don't know. He's an 18-year-old boy. I don't know how excited he's going to be about a knit blanket from his grandma. I think he'll like it though. I think he'll use it. It'll be good. He'll appreciate it. Okay, so that has been the project that I've worked on. I didn't mention the yarn. This is Cascade 220 Superwash. Cascade 220 Superwash. I do have, I'm probably going to have, is it here? Yeah. So these are the balls. The green is color number 352. The gold is 870. I don't remember what the colors were. I think this is straw. And this might be vibrant green. I got them from the Loopy U, and then when I realized I was going to need more than I could get from them, I ended up getting the rest of them from Wool & Co. I do have 2 gold balls and 3 green balls left that I'm probably not going to have to tap into. I have one gold and one green that I basically have only used a little bit of so far. And I'm pretty sure that's going to be enough to get me through the rest of the seaming and the border. So I will have some leftover yarn. But again, I ended up making fewer squares than I was originally planning to. So that's okay. I mean, it's never a bad thing to have some superwash yarn on hand. maybe he'll get a hat for Christmas or something in his school colors. Who knows? Not that that's going to use up that much yarn. Whatever. Anyway, so that is that saga. Obviously, you are not going to see the finished product physically here on the podcast, but I will take pictures once I have it done so that I can show it to you and how it turned out. Yeah, so that's that. So whenever Saturday morning rolled around and I realized at that point, I thought at that point I had all the squares I needed, I was free to work on something else when I sat at the breakfast table with Bill that day. So I pulled out his birthday socks. And you may remember these. I did have one done in time for his birthday at the end of April. The second sock I had done, I had finished the gusset decreases. I was on the foot, like the beginning of the foot. But that's where it got stopped by the time I was going to start this blanket. Well, actually, that's not true. I hadn't really worked on it much before that either, obviously. But it's also not like he's in need of wool socks right now. So anyway, I pulled this out and basically, obviously, I finished the sock between Saturday morning and Sunday morning. I got it finished. So he has a new pair of socks. This is my Wild Atlantic Pub Vibes colorway, which there is still some of this in the shop. This is the bounce base. I just did a 2x1 rib because that's what he likes. Tall cuff. He likes tall cuffs. And then I had a gold colored mini that I used for the heels and the toes. And that's about all I can tell you about that. US 1 needles. It did feel really weird picking up US 1 needles and working on them after knitting these blanket squares on 7s with worsted weight. So that was quite a switch. Worsted weight US 7s going to fingering weight US 1s felt funny for a little bit, but didn't take long to get back into it. So that is what I have been knitting. And pretty much, except for the last 2 mornings, it was all those blanket squares. That's it. I did not give in to temptation to work on anything else. I did not give in to the temptation to cast on anything else. And let me tell you, the temptation was strong. Because you know how it is probably, right? When you tell yourself, I have got to get this done, I've got a deadline, I'm only going to work on this, then all of a sudden all the other things are like, ooh, shiny, I want to knit that, ooh, I want to cast that on, ooh, But I withstood the temptation and it paid off. I'm going to get this done. But the other project that I did say I was going to work on a little bit this month, as much as I could, was Tour de Fleece. I did want to spin this month, and in past episodes I showed you what I was planning to work on, and I did end up getting some spinning done, not as much as I had hoped that I would, but I'm going to show you what I did get done. So I'm basically doing a combo spin with 3 braids, and this was the first color that I did. This was the first half of the first braid, and I just spun it and then 2-plied that. Like on 2 separate bobbins, and then plied that together. So that's the first color. Then I took the second half of that color and the first half of my second braid, which looks like this. This is the second half of it. I haven't gotten to it yet. But I spun those 2 up as singles and then plied those. So that's what those look like together. So you can see how the colors from this definitely show up in here. But there's a little bit of a peachy pink showing up. It's more evident in the fiber, but it obviously mutes out once it's spun up. So when I got done with this second skein, which was the half and half of the first braid and the first part of the second braid, I had a whole bunch of this first braid still left in singles. So I ended up winding it off into a center pool ball, and I plied it up as a 2-ply, plying from the inside and the outside of the center pool ball, which I don't think I've ever done before, and if I have, I've never had good luck with that. I think I might have tried that with like a drop spindle once and ended up just with a big tangly mess. But this actually worked out pretty well. So I do have some extra of that can go with this. So I'm glad I have a little extra yardage. I was trying to ply a little bit more on this first skein because I feel like I often underply things. But I'll be honest with you, I went back to my just regular default ply on this and I like this better. I feel like it's a little too tightly plied on this. If I opened it up and just hung it, it would have a little bit of a twist to it. That may settle down a bit once it gets soaked. I'm not going to do anything about it. Like I'm not going to run it back through my wheel and try to take some of the twist out. I could, but I'm not going to because I don't care that much. It'll be fine. Anyway, so that's basically the first half, I guess, of my Tour de Fleece combo spin. So I do have the second half of the second braid that I need to spin up as a single. And then this is my third braid. I just love this one. And again, this is one that I don't remember what it was. This is my fiber. I don't remember what the colorway was. I don't know if it was a one-off or if it was a club colorway and I just didn't label it. I honestly don't know. But I like it. And so half of this will be spun and plied with this. And then the last half will be spun and plied to itself. I think I have more of this than I had this to begin with. So there's probably going to be a lot more of this to ply to itself. But that's fine too. Whatever. By the end, I should have a decent amount of yarn. I don't know if I'll have quite enough that it could be a sweater. It could probably be like a sleeveless top though. And the colors are nice and summery, so it might make a nice, a lightweight kind of thing. Who knows? But it's obviously not going to get finished in July for Tour de Fleece. So, whatever. It's fine. What I do think, though, like I said, we're going away on this motorcycle thing this weekend. I will take something to work on. I will probably take my favorite scarf ever, which that was, oh my gosh, what month was that even? That was one of my, here, I'm going to look it up. That was one of my yarn of the month yarns. So, it's going to take me a second to find this because I did hibernate a whole bunch of projects. Okay, my May personal stash yarn challenge yarn was that Dragon Horde yarn that I was doing, the favorite scarf ever. And I am on the second half of that. So I'll probably take that because that's a pretty easy project to do. It's just a 2-row repeat. So I will probably take that with me this weekend. I also thought I might take a drop spindle with me and take 1 or 2 of those little batlings that I have from Joanna from KnitSpinFarm. Because that was another part of my Tour de Fleece thing. I said, I might occasionally spin on some of these using my little electric eel wheel. Well, I've never gotten that out. So, but I could do it on a drop spindle. And that would be a great way to freak out the muggles at the motorcycle adventure. Motorcycle event. Because usually if you pull out a spindle anytime you're around somebody that isn't, like in a group that isn't knit or fiber oriented, they look at you like you have 3 heads. Like, what are you doing? What is that? That's weird. Is that magic? Is that dark magic? Like, I don't know. So yeah, I might do that just for the kicks and giggles. Anyway, we'll see. I'll let you know next time I talk to you. So that's it. That's all of the projecting. I haven't touched my weaving. It's still sitting there. My April stash yarn challenge yarn is still on the loom. Hopefully I'll get to that next month after this first week. I don't anticipate getting a whole lot of crafting done while my grandson's here. I don't know. I don't really know what we're doing. We're going camping for a few days, but outside of that, like while he's here, not like I have to keep him entertained like he's a 2-year-old, but like we want to go do things. So hoping the weather cooperates and we can go like kayaking, we could go hiking. Although my one foot has really, really been bothering me. I don't know what I did to it, but hiking isn't always great. And the last time I was together with him, we did go hiking and I was in pain because my foot was hurting back then too. And I was going so slow and I was like staggering. And he's like, Grandma, are you okay? You okay, Grandma? You had to keep stopping. So I don't know. We'll see. But I would like to be able to do outside stuff with him while he's here. So don't know how much inside stuff is going to get done. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place at this point. Yeah. But, and let's see. I did pull July. Did I show you? I think I showed you the yarn. Did I? Maybe I didn't. I'm pretty sure I pulled July personal stash yarn challenge yarn. I don't think I showed it to you because maybe I didn't do it by then because I knew I wasn't going to work on it this month. So that may be it. Let me go see if I can find it. Hang on. Okay, here it is. It's in this bag. Figured that's very appropriate. This is a fat squirrel bag from quite a long time ago. Anyway, this is the only 2 skeins of Spin Cycle dyed in the wool that I own. Well, Spin Cycle anything. And I got these in a kit when I was at TNNA one year. And I don't know what I did with the pattern. I'm sure it's around somewhere. I think it was to make a hat. But I just took the yarn out away from the pattern. And I don't know what I'll do with it, but I was really happy to pull them out because I do think they're very pretty yarn. I've just never purchased it any other time. So there's 400 yards here total. It's an interesting color combo. Like they had it together for this hat. I don't know that I would have picked these colors to go together, but they do have a lot of contrast, and it was a color work hat. I don't remember like whose pattern it was. I don't know if it was an Andrea Mallory pattern because I know she does a lot with them. But anyway, that was the yarn that I did pick for July. Again, obviously, I'm not going to be using it in July. I mean, I suppose I could cake it up and take it with me and do something simple with it while I'm away. But I'm probably not going to. I don't want to knit it just to knit it into something or crochet it into something. I would rather have an actual plan for something that I really want. You know what I mean? So that will probably just set aside. And August is a new month. I realize I'm really behind. Like I'm really behind in my personal stash yarn stuff. Like April is not finished. It's on the loom. May is not finished. It is that scarf that I'm making that I will get done because I really like it. June was that Alafos Lopi that again I really like, but like I couldn't find the pattern that I thought I wanted to do. And I feel like I substituted something else with that for that yarn in my brain. And I probably told you maybe what it was going to be. I'll have to go back and watch my last podcast or something because I don't remember. Or I guess 2 podcasts ago, if it was June. Yeah, I don't know. If anybody remembers what I said I was going to substitute for that Alafos Lopi in my brain, maybe it was the hand spun that I pulled out and I was doing DRK Everyday Cowl. Because that was my leftover hand spun from my weekender, my worsted weight weekender. So maybe that was what I decided to substitute. Did I cast that on in June? Yeah, I did. So maybe that's what I don't know. It doesn't really matter because it's my own thing. I mean, nobody is forcing me to do that. I just do it for myself for fun to try to use up some stash yarn. I mean, those projects, if I did get them done in the month that I chose them, as well as the next month, they could qualify for the personal yarn of the month club that Carol does, that part of her make along from A Stitch in Time, which I started out good this year and I was participating in that, and then I just got behind and then I kept forgetting to post, and I'm so bad with make-alongs. Even my own, I keep getting behind because you guys are so prolific in your comments. But the Stop Shitting on Yourself make-along is still going on this year. So if you're taking part, thank you. I love reading your comments. I always do get to them and read through them, and I try to answer and comment on pictures and things. And if you're new and you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a post in my blog on the website, as well as in the Ravelry group. So if you want to take part, it's always open. It's very low-key, loosey-goosey. That's how I keep referring to it. So you can always take part. It's just stop shooting on yourself. Try to do things that you really want to do. Not exclusively, obviously. We all have to do some things we don't want to do. But like my grandson's Afghan was on my list, my wish list for this year, because I knew I was going to do it. I wanted to do it. It wasn't like, oh, I should make him a blanket because I'm his grandmother. It wasn't that. Like, I really wanted to make this. So I did put that on my list. So that's going to be a big thing to check off. I haven't gotten a lot of other things checked off my list, but it's okay because I'm trying to remember to stay in that not shoulding myself. Like, I should do all these things on my list. No, I shouldn't. I made the list as something to pull from. I have other things coming up that I want to do that aren't even on that list. And that's fine. It's all good. Our making is supposed to bring us joy, and that's the emphasis of that make-along. Do the things that make you happy. Find your joy in your making and embrace it. So anyway, that being said, when I went in to grab this bag, I also picked this up because I've been thinking about this yarn. I've had this for probably more than a couple of years. This is a Comfy Cotton Blend Lion Brand. I thought it was a Karen cake, but it's not Karen. It's Lion Brand. I have had this sitting in my yarn room for a while now. And I think they're such happy colors. And I think I'm going to crochet something with it. And this could be something that I could take with me this weekend too, actually, if I wanted to. There are some patterns. I've talked about Fiberflex before. Fiberflex. Let's see. I can never remember her name. Her actual name. Okay. Sorry. My laptop's sitting right here, which is why I'm looking over here. Okay, let's see. This was her pattern. Jennifer Dickerson. Fiberflex. She has got bazillions of really cool crochet patterns. None of them are super difficult. They're all very accessible, I would say, to newer crocheters. She does tutorial videos on YouTube for so many of her patterns. She has the patterns on her website a lot of the time with pictures that you can follow along. She also has her patterns on Ravelry. From what I've noticed, some of her patterns are on Ravelry and they're maybe a few dollars, but she often still also has them on her website, just as blog posts that aren't anything. So, it's up to you how you access them if you want to check her patterns out. But anyway, recently she had posted on YouTube a link to, I guess it's a post on her blog showing a bunch of lightweight summery kind of scarves and shawls and things to crochet. And there were a couple in there that I thought, ooh, those would be really cute. Now, I don't know if this is enough yarn to make one of those because this is only 392 yards. So it's definitely a heavy fingering weight. Well, no, it's not even a fingering weight. I'm sorry, because it's 200 grams. So it's more like an Aran weight, right? What's half of... 186, 108. That's more like an Aran weight. Yeah, I may have to rethink that. This isn't going to be enough to do the scarf that I saw that was really pretty on there. I don't know. I want to make something with it. I don't know. Tell me what you would make with this. What would you make? I would like to crochet something with it though. I don't really want to knit something with it. So with 392 yards of like a heavy worsted or an Aran weight, what would you make? Give me some ideas. Okay. Also, I am not working with show notes this week in case that hasn't been obvious. I'm like, all over the place. Oh, I told you I have acquisitions. Let's get into the acquisitions, shall we? At least I think I told you I had acquisitions, because again, I started this so many times, I don't remember what I said. But because I have been so good and have not like just spontaneously been casting on or getting veered off onto squirrel projects, I've just been so good, and I feel like that is why I suddenly started buying stuff, because like that energy had to go somewhere. So let's take a look at some things that I purchased, and I'm going to back up here because everything's over here on this table. And you know what, maybe I'll organize it and then get back with you. Hang on a second. Okay. I always feel weird about doing like large haul kind of things because number one, I hardly ever have large hauls unless I go to like a fiber event or something. But yeah, I don't tend to buy a lot of yarn or fiber in general. I mean, unless it's for a specific project, like I bought the yarn for that blanket that I'm making. But I very rarely just spontaneously buy stuff, but I have a couple of these things I'm going to show you. I actually did order before July, and they just came in this month. And the one is a skein of KnitSpinFarm, her self-striping. It's called Oxidized Copper Wire on an Old Telephone Pole. That is the colorway. You know, I've said this before, as a self-striping dyer, I'm really picky about self-striping that I buy from other dyers, but Joanna's is by far my favorite indie self-striping dyer. I love her colorways and I love her bases. This is her Targhee fingering. It's 90% superwash Targhee, 10% nylon, 466 yards, so it's a 4-ounce skein. And yeah, I just really enjoy her colors. So got that one. That was a pre-order. She does a lot of dye-to-order stuff, so I had ordered that a while ago and it just came this month. This one I think actually came shortly after I recorded last time, and it is still in the cellophane bag, so we'll see how well it shows up. Here we go. This is some stranded Dyeworks, and this was the Stranded Elf colorway. I don't know if you followed Jude from Stranded, but his mother was the Stranded Elf. She used to help with the packaging and shipping and all of that, and Jude lost both his mother and father last year within weeks of each other, which is just heartbreaking. Actually, his mother died first, then his dad. Yeah, but anyway, this was the colorway that is in commemoration of Jude's mom, Stranded Elf, and I just thought it was beautiful. These were all the Stranded Elf's favorite colors. So I got 3 skeins. This is on BFL nylon fingering, 400 yards. So I've got 1,200 yards. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with this. I'm thinking a top, like a summer top I would like to make. I always buy yarn thinking, oh, summer top, and I hardly ever make summer tops, but I would really like to make a summer top with this. Whether it's knit or crochet yet, I don't know, but that is my plan for that yarn, tentatively. Okay, and then, so my last spin that I was doing before I started this Tour de Fleece stuff was fiber from the Classy Squid, right? And at that time I had told you I wasn't sure if she was still dying or not, and shortly after that she did announce on Instagram that she was closing shop and she wasn't going to be dying anymore. And so at that point she was going to be putting a lot of stuff that she had like in stock that just wasn't in her shop over the course of several weeks. So that's kind of dangerous because number one, I usually wasn't seeing those announcements on Instagram until a day or two after she said, oh, this stuff's up in the shop now. So then I'd scurry to the shop and see what was left. And if there was anything left, like, oh, that's nice, I'd like that. So I'd buy that. And then like another couple days later, there'd be something I was like, oh, I want that. I've gotten a few different packages from the Classy Squid. That's what I'm saying. So most recently, well, no, not most recently. All right, here, I'm just going to show you what I got. First thing is a cuttlefish bat, which that was what I was spinning before that you saw. That blue one that I did recently. I have more of her cuttlefish bats in my stash, and I'm pretty sure this one will go really well with some of those, so that'll just be a friend for those. So that's one thing. Then I got these two braids of BFL. Aren't those pretty? And Burninate is the colorway. Based on how she had this written up in the shop, I'm assuming that is a reference to something from some show or movie maybe. I'm absolutely not sure. Haven't looked it up, but I really like the colors, and so I had to get those. So there's those. And then there were these, and I got these because this is just such a cool fiber blend. This is gray Shetland, kid mohair, tussa silk, and hemp. And I know this was a custom blend that she had called Briar, and the colorway is sugar plum, or no, sugar pumpkin, not sugar plum. That's my colorway, sugar plum. Sugar pumpkin. Isn't that great? It's perfect fall colorway. But I'm just really looking forward to spinning this because I have not ever spun anything with hemp. I actually do have, no, I don't have hemp. I have flax. I have a thing of flax that I bought one time. I've never tried to spin it. But yeah, it's just so, it's such a curiosity to me. So I can't wait to play with that. So I got that. And then along with that, I got this because she's also listing some stuff that she's had in her shop that was like undyed stuff, you know, that she had and she just didn't dye. And this is some of her opulence base or fiber, which is Rambouillet, Cashmere, Tussa Silk, and Bamboo. I'm pretty sure there's more in this bag than what I thought I was getting. I have spun her opulence base before though, and it's so nice. So I think there's like 7 little, you know, 4-ounce bumps in here. I think that's what I ordered, but like I said, I think there may actually be a little bit more than that weight-wise. But I'm going to dye these up for myself. I mean, this isn't something that I'm going to put in the shop because obviously I can't get any more of this, you know, but I'm going to dye this up for myself and use it, you know, for some sort of a garment spin at some point. I don't know. We'll see what I do with it, but I was really excited to be able to get that from her. So, oh, and lastly, that's all the Classy Squid stuff. And I have not been on her website now for a while because I feel like it's safest if I just stay off. But I did get an order from Adorn It, who is Steph, and I've collaborated with her. We've collaborated on some like Down Cellar Studio things sometimes, which is always fun. But anyway, I got some things from her. This is a little pin, an enamel pin. It says, "I myself am anxious and confused." And it's a little ghosty, which I just love. I think it's so cute. So I got that, and then I also ordered some stitch marker sets. That was the other fun thing, though, about making these blankets. One of the things I was doing to keep it exciting was I divided it into quarters. So like every 27 blocks, I went through my stash of stitch markers and progress keepers, and I would pull out 27 ring markers and 27 progress keepers, or not necessarily ring markers, but stitch markers, and 27 progress keepers. On every square I used a different marker to mark the center of the square, and then a different progress keeper to mark the front of it so that I knew where I was. That was fun. So as I was doing that, I realized, number one, I probably never, ever, ever, ever need to purchase more stitch markers or progress keepers because I have a lot. But then I turned around and I bought them anyway because Steph does such fun stuff. Don't drop. Anyways, such fun things. So this set, I don't remember what it was called, but this is a progress keeper. It's huge too. But look at the little cat in the floaty. Isn't it cute? It's on both sides too, which is also pretty neat. They aren't always like that. And then there is a stitch marker with little sunglasses, little cat eye sunglasses. And then there's just little ring markers that coordinate with them. So that was the one set. I don't remember what that set was called. Sorry. And then the other set that I got, I believe this is from her Outlander collection of things. I'm not into Outlander. I did watch the very first season of it up until I think the last 2 episodes. And I was put off at that point. It was just too graphic and violent. I just couldn't. So I never watched it again after that, but I really like these stitch markers regardless. So this is the Progress Keeper. It's a pretty Celtic knot. Because you know I like me my Celtic stuff. Right? And then this is a stitch marker. Dragonfly. And again, ring markers that go with it. So that has been my fiber related haul for this month of dedicated crafting, where I wasn't casting on new things, but I was buying some stuff. I also got a few other things that are totally unrelated. I got the Flora of Middle Earth. The Flora of Middle Earth by Judd and Judd. Actually, that just came today. But I figured that's a research because I'm doing Lord of the Rings colorways, Tolkien-ish colorways. I can justify things. Got that. I'll have to show it to you some other time. It's absolutely adorable. It's an oracle deck by a maker who I just adore. I have a tarot deck from her, and they're little ghosties, and they're so cute. But I also ordered this fall mug that was also designed by her, and you will see that on the podcast at some point. That just came today, and I'm super excited about it. So anyway, that's it. All right, so those are the things that have come into my stash. Let me tell you about what's going on in the shop, though. There's nothing like super big and new, but I am having a pattern sale right now through the end of the month. My offset pattern, which I did tell you about, I believe in the last podcast, which was my pattern that I released with the 2022 holiday countdown sets, that is on sale. I decided to extend that sale through the end of the month. It is $5 rather than the $8 full price through the end of the month. No coupon code needed. But along with that, I also put my Winter Magical shawl, which is from the 2021 holiday countdown set. That is also on sale. That one's half off. And then I put my funky fringed cowl, which I designed a few years back now, and my outdoorsy headband / cowl. You can wear it different ways. Those 3 patterns are all half off through the end of the month, and I'm putting those on there half off because I'm also putting all of the mini skein sets that are in the shop right now. You can take 15% off of any of those using the coupon code MiniMadness15. I had that coupon code out, and I decided to extend that through the end of the month too, just to make July like a mini madness kind of month. Those patterns all work excellent with mini sets. Offset and the Winter Magical shawl were obviously designed to work with mini sets. But the funky fringed cowl and offset work really well with mini sets as well. So you can mix and match and pair those things up if you'd like. Again, you don't need a pattern code for the discount on the patterns. The 15% off the mini skein sets is Mini Madness 15, and that also works on the mini duos that I have in the shop. So that's all good through the end of July. My Fluffy Hearts yarn and pattern kits, I also have those on sale, sort of. If you buy one, you will get a second one free. I'll choose one and send them to you. The collection of those that I have left is sort of starting to dwindle, and I'd like to get them into good homes. That was one of the things that, along with just the Fluffy Hearts pattern, I was selling as a fundraiser to donate money to Canines for Warriors. I'm super excited that to this point I've been able to donate over $540 based on your sales. So thank you so much for that. As I sell these remaining kits, I will continue to donate $5 from each kit to Canines for Warriors, and the pattern will remain up in my shop forever, and I will always be donating the full profits from the pattern to Canines for Warriors. So yeah, just wanted to let you know about those things. There are still a lot of self-striping colorways up. I did a small restock of Gathering Seashells. So if you missed that, whenever I put the show leftovers up, I've restocked that, and there's more up there on several different bases. I'm just looking through here. There's also a few skeins of each of the Signature Series self-striping colorways. There's a lot of the brights and the neutrals. But there's only a few skeins of the earth tones, the jewel tones, and the signature pie. I did those as pre-orders a while back, and I had some leftovers from the pre-orders. I am planning to put, do a dedicated dye batch of each of those to put more in the shop. I just haven't had the chance to do that yet. But if you want to check and see what's in there of those, you could probably pick some up now if you want to. I do have a special pre-order out right now that I'm not going to share in the details of, but if you purchased a 2023 holiday countdown set, the Middle Earth Winter collection, if you purchased one of the collections, you should have gotten an email last Friday letting you know that the first Middle Earth Imagined colorways are available to you as an early access pre-order. That was one of the perks if you purchased that holiday countdown set. I will be putting those up in the shop for everybody once the collection, the holiday countdown collection people get their pre-orders. So I'll be doing that. I've got several Middle Earth Imagined colorways coming out this year, and I'm really excited about them. So I really want to show them to you, but I want to keep them a little bit behind the curtain yet until the holiday countdown people have the chance to do their pre-orders, and those are open through Friday. So once I can get those shipped out to them in the next few weeks, then I can open that up to everybody. So something to look forward to. Just a little teaser there. I think that's probably everything. Like I said, it's going to be a busy rest of this week, and then next week my grandson's here, so it's going to kind of sort of be a vacation-y sort of week for me. I'm sure I'll get a little bit of work done, but I'm planning to just spend time with him as much as I can. So I will be back to everything after that, and then later in August, we are going to be spending a week at my mom's in Florida. So August is kind of a funky month, but I have a lot of work to do in the meantime when I am home, and that's where my focus is right now. So I hope you're doing well. I hope this wasn't too rambly for you. I'm sorry. I just really wanted to get these things out to you and show you what's been going on, and let you know that I haven't fallen off the face of the earth. So anyway, I hope you're doing well, and I would love to hear what's up with you. What are you working on? Do you have any suggestions for this yarn? How's Tour de Fleece gone for you? Tell me what's going on. I love to know. Anyway, take care. Talk to you again in a couple weeks. Bye.